Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so in previous video, what we were talking about is a couple of things here. I want to go over one of the concepts looking at this as potentially as a triangle. So we're talking about the potential that we could actually still be looking to be within this fourth wave, looking to extend out here sideways, and that we are still within this fourth wave, looking for a fifth wave to the upside. Now, if we are looking at something like this, effectively what we could actually have here is a triangle forming where this is A, B, C into here, D, and then we're looking for this as an E wave into these lows here. Now, we've come down past this 0.618 level, which would actually be here at this 30,333 to this 30,296 level. That's our golden pocket. Now, we are actually approaching this 786, and we have just touched onto this at this 30,154. Now, what I'm looking for here is the potential that within this, we have this as a triangle. Invalidation comes by actually breaking this 29,525. Sometimes what we can see here, when we are looking at an E wave here, is we can get this E wave looking to break this line from this A to C here. Now, if we do see this and we actually even see a wick down past the C wave and a reversal, that is still fine. That would allow for this potentially to still be looking at this idea of a triangle here. But what we'd need to see after that would be a 5-wave move to the upside, where we'd be looking for this to become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking to break this high of this B wave here. Now, some target areas for this are as follows. So we're going to go over this target area. So we still have this target area of this 31,608 to this 31,102. That would be our common fifth wave target here. But as well as that, what we have here is the potential that we could actually move up towards this 0.382 of the wave 1 to 3, which would be looking towards this 32K region. So if we do manage to hold this zone of this 29,525, what I would like to see here, if this is a triangle, is looking for this to either start reversing from where we are here, or potentially coming down a little bit lower into this line that runs between this wave A and this wave C here, and then looking for that potential of that 5-wave move to the upside. So this is looking for that still as having a fifth wave in play, and looking for that potential that we're going to see that extension up. Now, we also talked about the potential that what we could have here, instead of looking at this as a triangle, is that we could be within the alternate count, which we are still looking for that possibility of a fourth wave here. And what we are saying is that this move here in itself could potentially be a expanding diagonal here, in which case what we could actually see is that this is 1, 2. Now, there's a couple of ways of reading this. We could also argue that within here we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then as a contracting one. Alternatively, we could argue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 like this, and it would be expanding. So there's a couple of ways of looking at this. If this is, however, a contracting diagonal, what we need to be careful is that this could be A, B, and C, something like this. Now, if this is the case, effectively, we could have this as a an X wave over here, in which case we're looking for a Y wave to the downside. So we're going to go over both of those potentials now, and what we would need to see for those to actually play out. So if we were looking at this as a diagonal, what we want to do is actually hold above this zone of this 29,930 level. And what we'd be looking for here is that within this, if we're looking for continuation, what we want to see is we want to hold this 29,930, and then we want to be looking out for this potential to move higher up here. Now, our target for our 1.618 would actually be here at this 31,563, and this would actually change our targets slightly for this area. What we need to do is just adjust these target boxes. So we'd be looking for this to be a 1, 2, then we'd be looking for a move up towards the zone of this 1.618, and then we'd be looking for a fourth wave to come down that doesn't cross this wave 1 high. So this would be our invalidation point if we do see a push to the upside to that 1.618, is this 30,996. So effectively what we want to see here is a reversal to the upside in 5 waves, looking to target out this area, then get a fourth, then get a fifth wave to the upside here. So if we had to have this play out as it is marked here, I would have to go 50. The 382 is still technically above that wave 1 high, but it would be cutting it pretty fine. So we'd have to see exactly where this would come down into. It might be shorter and only come down towards this 31,224 if we do actually see this develop. But this could be looking to push us up towards this 31,900 to this 31,693 area. So that would be looking for that possibility of a direct break to the upside here, where this is actually a 1-2. Alternatively, as long as we hold this 29,536, we could also argue that idea of the triangle here, in which case it would be technically allowed for us to break this slightly and then look for that reversal to actually start from that point. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this. Technically we've come down to our target where we'd be looking for that reversal, but we need to be aware there is also the more bearish counter in play here, which could be possible. So we're going to go over that in a second. Now, the idea that we had this as a bigger corrective structure is still a possibility, where this becomes a W into this low here. Then we have this as an X wave. We actually did come up here towards a 702 area, and we were looking at some of these zones as possible targets. So the thing within this is we got to be careful, because that 5-wave move could also just be this flat, because we came up here towards this 1618 level, and effectively within this we could just have this as A, B, C, in which case this means that this could be a connector wave, and we could be looking for this as a Y wave to the downside. Now it could be a Y wave, or this could be A, B, and C, and then we start to see a 5-wave move actually develop to the downside here. The target area would remain the same though. What we'd be looking for would be potentially this 1-to-1 here, which would be sitting towards this 29,552. Now this would be interesting because it would be potentially coming to challenge out this low here towards this 29,524. So I'll be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price start to break down here, potentially we could look for a reversal in this previous wave 4 area here, if we are looking for that possibility. Now we also do have this channel which we're currently sitting in, and what we have here is an alignment here of the 786, which would be sitting here towards this 29,856, and this 854 at this 29,759 region. So we are currently below our central channel line now, but it could also just look to reverse here, find support, and then look for some of those other options. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. If, however, we just get a 3-wave move back to the upside here and potentially remain within this secondary channel that we have here, what we could see is price come back down one more time in a 5-wave move. So this would be A, B, and then looking for a C wave to the downside if that is the case, looking for this Y wave target. Now we also discussed the idea that we could actually just see a direct breakdown here. Now this is still on the cards, so what we need to be careful of is that potentially we could argue that within this we could start to see a breakdown in this way, where this is 1-2, this is 1-2. Now the key thing here is we want to see price actually start to break down in a more aggressive way, because effectively this would be the 3rd wave of the 3rd wave. So what we'd want to see is more impulsive action starting here, where we actually look to maintain this high here of this 30,997. Invalidation of this count comes by crossing this 31k, and then finally the complete invalidation of this as a secondary 1-2 would actually be this 31,431. But I wouldn't like to see us get back above 31k if this is the case, just because of the fact that if we do that, then this as a wave 2 compared to this as a wave 1 is very unlikely, and it's more likely we just have a corrective structure here. So going to be keeping an eye on this. Potentially we could be looking for this to play out. The key level here again is this 31k region. If we stay below this wave 2 high here, what we could start to do is form a series of 1s and 2s here, where this becomes 1-2. We get this as another 1-2 here, and then next thing we start to break down in a bigger way, looking for this target of this 29,266. What I would be looking out for here would be the potential of actually having a 3-wave move back to the upside here. Invalidation would again be the same thing. If we do move down there, we cannot cross that wave 1 low. Now if we do see something like this, it would be quite interesting to see if we actually get a retracement into the support zone here, and see if we actually get a retest of this and then a rejection to the downside. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for. If we do start to break down in a bigger way, we could actually be looking for this as a bigger 5-wave move to the downside, looking to actually potentially target out this 28,851 to this 28,601 level. Now if we do see this develop as a 5-wave move down, I'd be cautious towards any kind of move to the upside in 3 waves, particularly until we actually move above this 30,736. If we fail to break through this rejection area here, what we could actually be setting up for is either a bigger A, B, and a C to the downside, where we're going to see a much deeper retracement here. Or alternatively, what we could actually have here is that this could actually be a wave 1, we see a wave 2, and then we look for that bigger wave 3 to the downside. So that would align with that idea of that bigger count which we are talking about here, where we were saying, you know, we need to be careful of the idea of actually having a bigger W, X, and a Y, or an A, B, C here, where we could see price actually look to break to the downside, 1-to-1 still being here towards this 26,205, or alternatively, the target box over here would be looking for that potential of a 5-wave move down. So if we start to see 5 waves to the downside here, what we would be looking out for is that we could get something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would look to bring us down into these lower ranges. You have this 25k to this 23,373 region. Now this would make this a bigger ABC pattern, and that could actually mark a low point within this region if we do see something like this develop. Alternatively, if we do move down into this level and we start to see a bigger 5-wave move to the upside, which takes this high again, it is possible that we are in that more bullish count, where we're actually looking for that bigger push to the upside here, looking for a much bigger structure, where we are arguing that we have, this is a 1, looking at this whole move as a wave 2, and then looking for this bigger 3rd wave here, which is going to be looking to potentially take us up towards this 51,778 level. Now this would depend on exactly where we come here. We'd have to just be aware that, you know, the deeper we move here, the lower this target actually becomes. Okay, so now I just want to take this all off the screen, and we're going to discuss the CPR. So I'm going to just come back in here. We're going to go onto the hourly, and we're going to go over the daily CPR first. So what we can see from the daily CPR is that we're actually below these lines, and these lines are quite tightly spread here, so it's indicating a bit of volatility. Now what we would be looking for is, we've already come down to this R1 line. If we do see price look to hold this level, we could see price be gravitated back up into these central CPR lines, which are sitting here between this 30,665 to this 30,603. If we fail to move back above these, then potentially we could see price action move back into these lower lines here. We have the R2 here at this 29,866. We have the R3 here at this 29,515, and the R4 here at this 29k region. So if we do see price look to break to the downside here in a bigger way, potentially we could see a move into some of these lower levels. Alternatively, if we do see price move back to the upside here and gain these CPRs, what we could see is a move up towards this S1 at this 31k. We have the S2 at this 31,396, the S3 up here towards this 31,820, and the S4 up here towards this 32k region. So that would align with that idea of actually getting continuation to the upside here in a 5th wave. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Alternatively, if we are looking for that possibility of breaking down here, we could potentially look to challenge some of these lower levels here on these daily CPR lines. Now we're going to flip this back over onto the weekly again. What we can see is our central lines here are sitting in this zone, and we have them between this 29,921, this 29,377, and this lower one here, this 28,842. So if we are looking at this as a bigger corrective structure here, where we're going to get something like this, potentially these lines could actually come into play as possible support here. We do have some areas of support and resistance in these, where we could see price be gravitated back into these levels to retest some of these key areas that we have and see if we actually flip them into support. Now I would be looking for the potential that we could find support on these lines. If however we actually do look for that bullish potential here, where actually we get this as a 1, we hold this as a 2, we see 3, 4, 5, potentially then this S1 line becomes quite interesting here. Just sitting towards this 32,513 level. We have the S2 at this 34,554, and then we have this S3 at this 37,685. So that would be looking for that potential of breaking to the upside. Now, if we do look to break down here, we have the R1, which would be particularly interesting to me. Now, this would be looking at that idea that we're already in a bigger corrective structure here, looking to target out some of these lower zones before looking for that possibility of reversal to the upside. Alternatively, if we do look for that idea of that bigger flat correction, this R2 line here at this 24,205 becomes quite interesting. And then we have the R3 at this 22,170. So we'll be keeping an eye on those through as the week progresses and see how price action is reacting on them. Now, the monthly pivots, what we can see here is we do have this S1 line still sitting here, which could potentially offer us support if we come down. The thing is, if we do see a bigger move to the downside like this, it's less likely that this is going to be a wave 4 here. And even in the case, that more bullish case where we're arguing that this could be 1 and 2, it would be bigger than our primary 1, 2 here. So it would be less likely. However, we need to just be aware, because sometimes what we get within third waves is we will not get as deep retracements. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into this high, and we get something like this, where we get this as a W, this is an X, and then we get another 3-wave move to the downside, and we see something like this, a retest of some of these higher levels here, then potentially this could still be 1 and 2. So we need to just be aware that when we're looking at potential third wave, sometimes these retracements will not be as deep. It would make more sense to me that we have that 5-wave structure to the downside for that flat play out, but we're going to have to see what the market actually shows us here. So support potentially could come in at this 29,417. If we do look for that potential of a 5th wave to the upside, we have that 31,629 as a possible target. And then also up here, we have the S2 at the 33,429 level as a possible target. So going to be keeping an eye on those different levels if we do move up. Now, once again, if we are looking for that potential that this whole move could be a wave 1, and then we're just going to start a bigger move to the downside here for a wave 2. These central lines are going to be interesting to me. So these are currently sitting between this 29,823, the 27,407 region. We have the R1 down here, which would align more with that idea of the flat correction to the downside, 25,407. And we have this R2 at this 23,612, aligning with that flat correction. And then we have this lower target here of this R3 at this 21,389 level. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on those as price develops. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.